Hello, we are back for lesson number 11. God provides when we share. Lesson theme: Elisha instructed the widow to gather bottles for her oil. Key verse: let brotherly love continue. And you find part of that verse in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 1. Lesson objective: learners will relate God's abundant gift of oil to the widow and her sons. Bible principle: God has given his Son that everyone may have everlasting life. Lesson application: I will give part of what I have to help others. I know God gave the oil to the widow. I know his best gift is his Son, Jesus, who died on the cross to save me. Which gets us to our paragraph titled Free Flowing Oil, that God basically provided for the widow. We're going to be looking at the book of 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. Elisha was the prophet who received Elijah's mantle and carried on the Lord's work. After Elijah left earth in a whirlwind, one day a young man died, leaving his widow in debt. The poor widow faced the problem of finding a large amount of money to pay her husband's debts, or giving up her 2 sons to be slaves. Elisha performed the miracle of oil to provide money for her to pay her debts. Elisha told her to borrow all of the empty jars she could find. God filled her jars with oil. As long as the widow kept pouring, the oil kept coming to fill the many jars she had borrowed. The woman was able to sell the oil to sustain her and her family. As long as she poured, there was oil in abundance. Devotional: God gave the best gift. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And you can find that verse in the book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. John 3:16. Which gets us to our new words. Debt: something owed. Basically, someone may have given you money and you would have to pay them back. So you'd be in debt until you were able to pay it back. Brotherly love: love for one another. Basically, friendship. Continue: keep on happening. It keeps going on. Which gets us to our story time, which is our Bible lesson. Elisha was God's prophet. He taught people about God. One day a widow came to him. The widow was very sad. I do not have any money, the widow told Elisha. I do not know how I'm going to pay my bills. The man I should pay said he would take my 2 sons to be his slaves. Elisha knew the widow loved her sons. He knew she did not want to lose them. Elisha asked the widow, "What do you have at your house?" "The only thing I have is a little bit of oil," said the woman. Elisha told the woman, "Go to all your neighbors and borrow all of the empty jars that you can. Take the jars home. When you get home, shut the door and pour all of the oil you have into the jars you borrowed from your neighbors." The woman believed Elisha. She knew that God would help her if she did what Elisha said. She and her 2 sons went to the neighbors and borrowed all the jars they could. When they got home, they closed the door. One of the boys brought a big jar to his mother. She poured the oil from her little jar into the big jar. "Bring me another jar," said the woman. "This jar is full." The other son hurried with another jar. She poured oil from her little jar. It filled the big jar to the top. So he keeps on filling the jars. "Bring me another jar," said the woman. "This jar is full." I already read that part, so I'll skip down. "I still have more oil in my jar," said the woman. The boys kept bringing their mother the jars. Every time she filled them to the top, no matter how much she poured, the little jar, was never empty. The woman poured oil from her jar until every jar she had in the house was full. It was only then that her little jar ran out of oil. When the widow saw Elisha, she said, "Every jar in my house is full of oil." "Go and sell your oil," said Elisha, "and use the money to pay your bills." The woman had enough money to pay all of her bills. She even had money left over. The woman thanked Elisha. She thanked God for sending Elisha to help her when she was in need. And that concludes our lesson. Hopefully you guys learned something new or got your minds refreshed. She kept filling basically the jar, and God provided the oil so she can sell it to make money so she can keep her two sons with her and pay her debt that her husband had that was left for her. And she thanked God for everything, including Elisha, who was the messenger basically for God. But anyways, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe to the channel. That just lets you know whenever I have a video posted. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want. And hopefully you guys will come back again for another video. Thanks for watching.